I will have the pleasure to guide you through this session. So let's have a quick look at the agenda. You see here that we'll be starting with the policy context of EIE for the work program 2023-2024, which, by the way, is probably 2024-2025. Then we'll be starting with a call about mutual learning and support schemes for national and innovation programs. Then we have a short Q&A session, again via Slido. And then we'll be addressing the call expanding academia enterprise collaborations, again a Q&A session via Slido. Then we go to the lump sum chapter. This is quite important for you to listen to it. Again, a short Q&A session, and we hope to end at around 12:25. Having said that, I'm very pleased to welcome for this, that's a very important slide, sorry. Very important, the call text is prevailing over the slides. You know that there's a huge work behind the work programs, also for making sure that all the member states are agreeing. So that's why the call text is prevailing over these slides. And of course, the call text is also complemented by FAQs, but we're coming to this later on. Having said that, I think I can now pass the floor to Gérald Cultot. Gérald is Deputy Head of Unit for Unit I01 and currently the Acting Head of Unit. Gérald, many thanks for being around us, and please, you have the floor.
Thank you, Daniel. Yes, actually, ladies and gentlemen, so it's my great pleasure and an honor to open this morning's event. And on behalf of ASMEA, I would like to wish you a very warm welcome to this info session, which is about the second call for proposal of the 2024 European Innovation Ecosystems Program. So today we have two important topics to talk about. One about mutual learning and support schemes for national and regional innovation programs, and the other one is dedicated to expanding academia enterprise collaborations. So in these occasions, I would like maybe to give a couple of words. The first one focused on the program itself, the second one on maybe more details on the implementation of our work program, and the last one probably to really help you to prepare your applications. So on the first point, a few words on the EIE work program. EIE is for European Innovation Ecosystem, and it is part of Horizon Europe, and it is leading the way in fostering collaboration, networking, and inclusive growth among key players in innovation across Europe. In pursuit of this innovation, we recognize the importance of engaging all actors, from the public and private sectors to academia and civil society, and as well as the interconnections across the national and regional levels. And this particular aspect we have actually be addressed today in, as it is one of the focus point of the first topic, I think, that will be discussed today. Through the EIE work program, we also facilitate participation, collaboration, and networking among stakeholders. And obviously, our goal is really to try to aim to reinforce through these topics the promotion of joint activities, identify strength, address weaknesses, and share best practices across the European Union. So these are basically the key objectives. And one of the other aspects of the program is that we try to complement the EIE work program with the efforts of other elements of Horizon Europe, namely the EIC, the European Innovation Council, and the European Institute of Innovation and Technology, the EIT. And this is also seen through other initiatives which are covering national, regional, but also local levels. So with all this, we are continuously building a vibrant and interconnected innovation ecosystem that spans across Europe. So that's basically the idea of this program, is really to foster this collaboration, these joint activities among diverse stakeholders. We also aim to bridge the innovation gap and promote collaboration between moderate or emerging innovator regions and strong innovation leader regions. So by creating these networks and initiatives European-wide, we are basically unlocking the full potential of European innovation ecosystems. A few words now, which I think is also interesting for you to know about what we've been doing in the last 3.5 years in terms of implementation. So for your information, we have funded more than 250 projects, which is quite a huge achievement. And this is representing a budget of more than 220 million euros so far. So with more than 600 partners, I've been involved from more than 40 countries. And these projects just prove that the great potential of the program, the need for such a program, and showing how it is conducive to innovation and growth, and also helping the cooperation across Europe that leads to successful projects. So far, we have also set up in these last 3 years programs which were mainly focused on innovation ecosystem actors, on building capacity in innovation procurement, integrating social innovation actors, scaling up deep tech ecosystem, or expanding acceleration and entrepreneurial ecosystems. So these initiatives are driving innovation, are driving knowledge exchange and sustainable growth in Europe, we believe. And also, this is also encourages the inclusion of stakeholders from all sectors, all levels. And this is basically trying also to address more consistently the concept of quadruple helix. That is to say, the involvement, as you know, of academia, industry, government, and society. On top of this, I would like maybe to mention 2 particular actions that we've had quite recently, which are the regional innovation valleys, which aim to harness the full potential of the regions, territories, and to address societal challenges and the innovation divide in the EU. And the objective with these regional innovation valleys is to identify up to 100 regions committed to strengthening the coordination of their research and innovation investments and policies. We also have the action called Women Tech EU, and we are committed to promoting women leadership in deep tech, ensuring that women play a vital role in shaping the future of innovation. This is also very important, and our last call has had a record-breaking number of applications, so we are very happy to see that this is working very well as well. And this is really 2 particular actions I wanted to mention, among others. We have many others, but these 2 I just wanted to give you an example of successful implementation that we have on our side and which are really, really impactful. So in today's presentation, we will have obviously our policy experts that will explain the specificities of the 2 topics coming up in 2024. And on that note, let me welcome also my colleagues from the Commission in DG Research Innovation, Yekaterina Novikova. And I think we have another colleague, which is maybe Isabella Prokopovic. And it's really important that you listen to what they will say, because they are the ones that will give you the detail of the policy context and the rationale behind these actions that will be presented to you in a few minutes. Last but not least, I would like to give you a few points about the preparation of your application. So to enable you to prepare optimal applications, the first thing is maybe what has been mentioned previously. So the call text prevails. So it's really important that you always go back to the work program in case of doubt. But also with this session, we would like to provide clearest information, and this is the purpose of the info session. So you will have the chance to ask questions via Slido, and also, I guess, to vote for some of the questions. So very important that you do so and left nothing unclear behind. I think it's very important to take this opportunity. So you will have this on the 2 topics, but also at the end on the lump sum financing if you have questions in this regard. So questions can be sent anytime. They will be also shared via the course page in the FAQ section. You also know that each call page offers a partner search feature, which can help you in finding new partners. So very important to go there. That's a great opportunity to see who have already been selected in the past for funding, and also for networking and finding new partners. So very important to go on this page. And probably last but not least, you can reach out to your NCPs, your national contact points, and also check our easy-to-use EIE Data Hub, which is a platform where you can see all our funded projects and beneficiaries. So this Data Hub is available on the ISMEA website, and it's very super useful to know who has already been participating in our calls and has been funded. So very important information there as well, on top of what will be mentioned to you in a couple of minutes. I think for me, that's it. So all I can say is a big thank you for your attention, a big thank you for your attendance, and the best of luck for your applications. And we hope to receive numerous excellent applications. So we are counting on you to provide such excellence for Europe. With this, I will give the floor back to you, Daniel. Thanks a lot.
Many thanks, Gerald. Let's go ahead now with the different topics. We are starting right now with first of all, the policy context. And for this, I'm very pleased to invite Ekaterina Novikova, Deputy Head of Unit in DG RTD A5, for sharing this rationale about our actions. Please, Ekaterina, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Daniel, and of course also Gerald, and also all the colleagues on ISMEA who organized actually this info session that I believe will be very important and very useful for the participants who are preparing now the excellent proposals for the 2 ongoing calls. I would like to give you a little bit of policy context because, of course, as rightly noticed, the call text prevails of whatever we are going to discuss here today. Call text is a legal document, and of course it's very important, especially what concerns eligibility conditions. But still, we need to understand. I mean, these actions that were not really were created in isolation. They really respond to the current challenges that we have in the world and also in the Europe. And of course, you need to understand the context in order to prepare better your applications. So here I am to give you a little bit a flavor of the policy surrounding the 2 actions that currently we are discussing. And of course, let's start with the challenges. Challenges, of course, won't be very new for you. You know them very well. What challenges we have in Europe? We do have a persistent innovation divide between the member states and the regions. Unfortunately, it's not really shrinking. It's also growing in some cases. And indeed, there is a quite big differences between the countries, also in terms of investments in the research and innovation that exist in Europe. Another challenge that is not unique to Europe, it's also really, how to say, it's quite a challenge also in the world scene. It is insufficient transfer of the new technologies from the laboratories to market. Again, not a lot of explanation is needed to be given here. Sorry, let's go back for one slide. I was just taking water to have a pause. Excuse me. But it's basically, of course, we need to do better to bring technologies from the laboratories to market, from the research institutions, and also education institutions could be also quite important in that respect, particularly in how we can motivate the researchers and innovators and the students to have this market-oriented approach. So let's move on the challenges. Another challenge that we have in Europe is lack of risk of finance for the companies, particularly to scale up and exit at the European markets. We do have indeed the fragmentation of the internal market and regulatory burden on the companies, and also we do have a business environment and culture that is a little bit more risk averse and less conducive to innovation than in the countries of our competitors. Next slide, please. And to combat these challenges, to address these challenges, and to have a comprehensive set of actions, we came up in 2022 with a new European innovation agenda that I would say not as new anymore, but the main focus of this European innovation agenda was on the deep tech innovation, because we believe that really the deep tech innovation is the one who would help to improve Europe's competitiveness, contribute to the green and digital transition, narrow the innovation divide, and also reinforce Europe's open strategic autonomy. Next slide, please. And then here again, we said that we are building on the good things that we have in Europe, because we do have a leadership in science. We have strong industrial base, good research infrastructures, and also technological infrastructures. We have increasingly vibrant startup ecosystem, and I believe participants around in this event proof to that. And we have ambitious framework conditions conducive to innovation in the internal market, and also the talent based. And here I put an asterisk, because exactly the talents we are going to talk a lot in the session today. And of course, we have also stable institutions and democratic society that makes our life in Europe very comfortable. Next slide, please. It was in 2022. But now we are in 2024, so we are almost 2 years since the launch of the new European Innovation Agenda, and we have progressed quite a lot. In the new European Innovation Agenda, there were 25 specific actions divided by the 5 challenges that we were supposed to address. And so far, we have already completed 13 of these NEA actions, and some of the actions are still ongoing. Besides the concrete measures that the European Commission took and implemented, there also we had a lot of the interest and also enthusiasm of the member states, who actually came forward with not less than 200 measures that are also supporting the new European Innovation Agenda, and also helps to address the challenges that I have described above in Europe. Next slide, please. However, I'm not going to talk about all the 25 actions today. I think this session, as I mentioned, is very much focused on talents, and there was a specific flagship for the fostering, attracting, and retaining talents in the new European Innovation Agenda. Again, why we had such a set of actions there, why we had a specific big chapter on talents, it's because we do believe that more can be done in Europe in that respect. We might be losing the global race for deep tech talents with skilled researchers moving to US. It is not a secret. We do lack also some skills, particularly in AI field in Europe. And actually the startups particularly are facing quite a big challenges to recruit the right people in Europe. We do know that we have in Europe aging population. It is also shrinking due to demographic change, and that brings another pressures to the employment markets. We do have a high concentration of talents in the main cities. We do have, of course, very important and very vibrant clusters in some cities and regions. But again, we have quite a big disparity between the needs of the economy and the availability of talents, particularly in some more remote regions. We do have, of course, entrepreneurial networks and many training opportunities, but they are not equally accessible, and particularly when we are talking about accessibility on the local level. And of course, employee ownership remains at low levels across Europe. That also makes it less dynamic startup markets. Next slide, please. And under the NEA, we came up with a number of actions. Many of them are already implemented, some of them already ongoing. Again, I won't be able to go due to lack of time in all of them, but basically through the new European Innovation Agenda, we managed to motivate, we managed to initiate the pledge that actually more than 800,000 deep tech talents will be trained in Europe during the next 1 or 2 years. We do have very successful EIC Women Entrepreneurships and Leadership Scheme targeted particularly on the women entrepreneurship. We also very much we had a targeted set of measures to really help women entrepreneurs, women founders, also women investors to improve and to boost their participation in the markets. We, of course, try to also attract talents, not only within Europe and retain talents, but also attract talents outside Europe by creating innovation talent pool. And we also worked on the particular part on the employee stock options, helping and looking on the different ways how we can stimulate employees to participate in a startup by granting them stock options on their arrival to the company. That is quite common practice in the US and also in other countries outside Europe. Next slide, please. Here, when I spoke about the 5 flagships of the new European Innovation Agenda, you can see them on screen. I'm not going to go through all of them, but here this slide specifically to illustrate how European Innovation Ecosystem Work Program supports new European Innovation Agenda. Gerald already very well described the objective of the European Innovation Ecosystems, and you can also see how linked they are with the political ambitions of the European Innovation Agenda. If you look only on the work program 23-24, there also were other programs 21-22. There were already a lot of very successful and interesting projects launching there. You can see that the many actions that are stipulated in the European Innovation Ecosystem Work Program, they are actually directly related to the flagships of the new European Innovation Agenda. And of course, if you search a little bit where we are with this expanding academy-enterprise collaboration, we do see that this action has a direct relevance to the fostering, attracting, and retaining deep tech talent action under NEA. Next slide, please. We are coming a little bit closer to the European Innovation Ecosystems Work Program. And again, just to complement what Gerald has explained you in the beginning of his presentation, here it is on the slide, European Innovation Ecosystem, part of Innovative Europe, Pillar 3, sitting between European Innovation Council and European Institute of Innovation and Technology, interlinking both of them, and also have a lot of links, also particularly with the Pillar 2 actions under global challenges and European industrial competitiveness, with the objective to connect regional and national innovation actors. Next slide, please. And just a small overview of European Innovation Ecosystem Work Program. So objective is to support the scaling of companies, encourage innovation, stimulate cooperation among national, regional, and local innovation actors. To do all that with €500 million over the 7 years period, 21-27, with a set of CSA and co-fund actions through the biannual work programs, and with very important notion that the ambition of the European innovation ecosystems, and also through the legal base, it supports all innovators and all and all actors of the innovation ecosystem without sectorial preferences. Next slide, please. We do have two destinations in 23-24 work program. One is Connect, and both of the actions that are going to be presented today are relevant to this destination. The objective of this destination is building interconnected and inclusive innovation ecosystem, reinforcing network connectivity for sustainable business growth, setting, undertaking, and achieving collective ambitions towards challenges for the benefit of society. For the sake of completeness, we also have another destination, Innovative SMEs. That is a destination that supports continuation of the European partnerships for innovative SME that do a lot for helping SMEs to exit, to work and collaborate with the markets outside Europe. Next slide, please. Here we have objective of the Destination Connect. They're also spelled in the work program. So just to give you a little bit more overview. Again, very much inclusiveness, efficient, inclusive, gender diverse, and connected innovation ecosystems. This is our ambition. We want to accelerate development and deployment of innovation. And as I mentioned before, we want to address all key innovation players from across the quadruple helix. We do look a lot on the synergies, and we try to mobilize different kind of synergies at different level, being at European, but also national and regional levels. And we do also very much invite participation also on the private actors with the private investment, particularly for our co-funding actions. Through the Destination Connect, we also look on the improvement of public and private buyers' capacity to procure innovative solutions. And also we try to connect individual innovators with other ecosystem actors in innovation support providers. All that also for ensuring openness and cross-fertilization of the innovation ecosystem within and beyond the European borders, and hence you will see some eligibility conditions relevant to that point in our calls. Next slide, please. And with that, my presentation is over. I will talk again about a specific topic on the Enterprise Academia collaboration, and also my colleague Veronica Benitez will talk to you very soon on the mutual learning exercise that is part of today's presentation. Thank you.
Many thanks, Ekaterina. Thanks for this overall policy context. And now we go to the heart of the session, entering into the different topics. I think without waiting longer, I'm very pleased now to invite Veronica Benitez from DG RTD for sharing the first topic about the mutual learning scheme. Over to you, Veronica. Many thanks.
Thank you very much, Daniel. Good morning, everyone. My name is Veronica Benitez. I am Policy Officer at DG RTD and the Unit 8.3 dealing with the European Innovation Council. And it's going to be the policy unit linked to this call. But I'm here together with my colleague, Catalin Ticheru, that would be the project advisor and in the agency, in ASMEA, managing this call. So together we are going to walk you a little bit through the call on the Mutual Learning and Support Scheme for National and Regional Innovation Programs. Next slide, please. Why do we need this call? What was the rationale to put this call into the European Innovation Ecosystem Work Program? Okay, when we have to deal with different innovation systems and ecosystems, we realize that there is a big fragmentation. And we also realized that there was a need to really foster this interconnection, especially among public, national and regional agencies, or all these existing innovation supports in member states. In order to create, because we think that the value comes with the synergies. So this is the reason why there was the idea to put this call forward. And it has a very important objective to incentivize cooperation. You see, it's not a lot of money, but it's enough to have something that can really incentivize and can really motivate the different programs to talk among each other. To favor mutual learning, and I want to stress here the part of mutual. We said it should not be one teaching the other, but learning programs from each other. And also to bring together public innovation authorities and agencies to increase all this dialogue and networking. Because only like this, by doing this, and we are also from the EIC having a dialogue with national and regional authorities, but bringing all together, we can really identify what are the synergies and we can really benefit and build on the experiences of all of us. So the underlying idea is that after these exchanges, this incentivization of cooperation, this learning, maybe the existing or new national or regional innovation support programs can think about the possibility of becoming EIC plugin schemes. So basically, the objective of the action is really to assist member state associated countries to improve existing program or to create another funding program that can potentially later qualify as a plug-in scheme to the EIC accelerator. Can you pass the slide, please? I think most of you are familiar with what's the plugin scheme, but basically, for you to know, it was a pilot and it was a big novelty when it comes to Horizon Europe because it was the first attempt to create that synergy between the existing programs on national and regional level and the EIC. So basically, if a program has to submit the application, and if a program is certified, the companies, SMEs that are selected by the program can go directly to the second stage of the accelerator. So basically they encounter a small advantage in the fact that they don't have to go through the short proposal and they can really go into the full proposal. What we look at these programs, we try to see if these programs, they have a review process that is similar to the existing review process of step 1. Like this, at the same time we learn, in the sense that the national program, they know and they can implement more or less the evaluation system of the step 1 or the short proposal of the accelerator, and at the same time we also see what is the process that the national programs have, or the filter that the national programs applied to select companies that they are very innovative. Next slide, please. Next slide. What has been the development so far? So as I said, this is a pilot action. There was at the beginning a mapping exercise. So, and then there was the first call for submission of programs. So basically the national authorities, regional authorities, they have to submit their program for evaluation. There was a first assessment of the programs. There were 52 programs submitted by an expert group, and the first programs were certified. But that was in 2022. But at the same time, that moment, we realized that we didn't have the critical mass to go ahead. So there was a second call for programs. And at that moment, we had 26 submissions. And those programs, we came up with the whole assessment, and we met the condition of the 2/3 of member states had a certified program. So basically, some of the programs were fully certified, other programs were certified with conditions, and they were given the possibility to submit also the idea to, the justification to take away that conditions. There is not currently an open call for plugin programs, but the idea is we are now executing an evaluation to see exactly how it has worked, basically, and there would be the idea to open an additional evaluation session later 2024 or beginning 2025. But it's very, I mean, we will have another round of certifications. Next slide, please. Right now, there are 45 programs certified from 21 countries. It's not a 1-1, so it's not one program from one country. Some of the programs are national, other programs are regional. So basically what it has to have, it has to be public innovation program, and it has to be similar to the accelerator selection. So this is the snapshot of current situation of the amount of programs that are certified for the plugin. And next slide, please. So, as I said, what we want to give small grants that really incentivize the exchange between innovation agencies, between existing innovation support programs. And we expect projects to contribute to at least 4 of the following outcomes. So we expect that they really reduce the fragmentation of the innovation ecosystem and national regional startup support scheme. That we expect that they increase the cooperation, the learning and the exchange of knowledge between the national and regional innovation support public authorities and agencies. We would like that the project improve ongoing or set up new national or regional innovation funding programs whose criteria are fit to pass in the plugin scheme. We would like that the projects incentivize the use requirements of the access of the plugin scheme, as well as communication to the innovation ecosystem, that they really communicate about the existence of this scheme. We expect the projects to create an homogeneous and approach to the evaluation of projects under the support to the evaluation of innovations. We want to enhance the cooperation between all the regional authorities, agencies, the SMEs, startups, so really the whole ecosystem. And we would like that the projects, they aim at creating a stable pipeline of high quality projects to the EIC Accelerator long proposal. So I think this is my presentation, and I give now the floor to Katalin.
Thank you, Veronica. And I think we can move on to the next slide. Good morning to everybody. This is Katalin Tichieru, Project Advisory within ACMEA, the European Innovation Ecosystems Unit. I'm very pleased to see that we have such a big audience for this call, for these topics of the call. At the same time, please notice that this specific topic is very much focused, targets many national or regional innovation agencies or similar organizations, as well as national and regional authorities in charge of management of innovation programs, and also the EIC plugin contact points. So for the regular type of consortia of the European Innovation Ecosystems community, maybe this is a little bit much more, let's say, narrow. So, and this is something that we wanted to highlight, Veronica and myself, to you from the beginning. And yes, we can move on with the presentation. Basically, this topic. Sorry. We can still stay on this slide. Basically, this topic has been opened last week on the 6th of June, and you can discover it through the funding and tenders portal of the European Commission, and it will be open until 19th of September 2024. So you still have some months to apply. Basically, we are looking for type of actions which are coordinated and support actions, so CSAs, the standard ones. And the total indicative budget of the entire topic, is 1 million euro. And we expect to sign around 10 grants. So this means that the EU, that the European Union expected contribution per project would be around 0.1 million euros, so around 100,000 euros. Of course, when you submit the proposal, since this is a CSA, you will have that uses lump sums. And for more information, my colleague Isabella will follow up later on during this info session. Since this is a lump sum, an action that uses lump sum in terms of implementation, you'll have to upload a mandatory detailed budget table, which you will find on the Funding and Tenders portal. And on top of the, in addition to the Part B and the Part A's documents, which are mandatory, and don't forget the Part B has maximum 33 pages, since this is a lump sum action. At the same time, we kindly request you to look very closely at the templates that you receive, that you'll find on the Funding and Tenders portal, because there you'll find some very important guidance to applicants when it comes to how to write that specific proposal. For each criterion, you'll have very interesting guidance that our colleagues from the Business Processes Unit and the Central Services of the Commission have put together, and in order to guide you and to support you in writing better proposals. Then, since we are very short on time, I will go quickly through the additional eligibility criteria. So we are looking for consortia of at least 3 independent legal entities that have to be established in 3 different member states or Horizon Europe associated countries. And at the same time, at least one of these entities should be established in a moderate or emerging innovator region, and at least one in a stronger innovation leader innovator region. And for more information, you can also find on how we assess the eligibility in this regard. You can look at the Regional Innovation Scoreboard on the GRTD's website. And of course, if we can, Veronica already mentioned that these actions should contribute to at least 4 of the expected outcomes, which were already presented by her. And on the next slide, we can provide you some additional information also from the call text when it comes to what you will be required to present through the application. So basically, we encourage you to use the Twinning Plus methodology, and because you will have to provide a design options paper that summarizes the main findings of this methodology that has been basically that can be applied for your collaboration among the players of your consortia. So basically, this Twinning Plus methodology has been used previously in some InnoSup projects. You can discover more about it and also about how this design options paper looks like in the through the footnotes of the call text. If you have any kind of additional requests in this regard, feel free to contact us at the link which you'll find at the end of this of the presentation of the info session through the research inquiry service. And in addition to this, the proposal should include specific activities that enhance the quality of support provided at national and regional levels to the most promising startups and SMEs. Also, these activities should improve or set up new national and regional funding programs that can be also beneficial and could qualify for the plug-in scheme of the IC Accelerator. We are looking for projects that share best practices in terms of design, the way the programs, the innovation programs function and operate, and are monitored by several players that run them. And of course, you'll have to broaden the access to information and communicate to the applicants on the opportunities to access the national and regional funding programs, and have the chance to so that they can apply basically further to the IC Accelerator. I think that was pretty much it from our side. We have also some FAQs. If you can go to the next slide, please, since we are very late with the presentations. We have received so far some questions before this info session. For instance, whether the national contact points, which are plug-in contact points at the same time, are allowed to apply. Yes, we all allow this. And of course, there was a question about who are the main target applicants. They are mainly, as the call says, the organizations managing innovation programs at national and regional level from the innovation agencies or similar organizations. National regional authorities in charge of the management of innovation programs and these type of schemes, as well as these DIC plugin contact points. And this should be all from this perspective, and I think we can move on already, Daniel, to Slido, right? To the FAQ.
Yeah, just before that, Catalina, I just wanted to share with the audience this footnote number 77 in the work program, which is giving examples of actions that we had in InnoSup times. I guess some of the beneficiaries are around the table today. So this is this handbook for innovation services, and let me just share in a second the approach we have in this document, because I think it will be of inspiration for you. Romain, if we can have the display, please. Of the PDF document before we go to the questions. And yes, many thanks. So this is giving you really the approach of the spirit of this action. One important point, we have here a much stronger focus on the EIC, and that's a very important part, because definitely you have seen at the beginning that we are talking here about improving the European innovation ecosystems. And basically what you will find in this document is a short summary of all the 74 projects that we've had in InnoSup 5. And what is certainly relevant for you, if we go to the page 18, is that for each of the summaries, you have access to the so-called design option paper, because you've seen that it's required that you are going for this as an outcome. And you see here, for example, this project, and this document is giving you access to all the design option papers we've had. Again, the call was much more open in these times, but the good news for you is that this lump sum and these times was 50K, and now you are with 100K. Many thanks, Romain. We can go back to the questions now. Let's have a little look on the questions who arrived. So I guess this will be probably for Veronica. The first question is, what is the recommended duration of the proposal?
There is no recommended duration, so it has to make sense with the proposal that you're making. At the same time, it has to allow enough time to do this mutual learning. So, and you know that the amount is not very high either. So, I mean, the timing is not going to be, it has to be reasonable. It's not going to be one criteria, and it has to make sense within the proposal. So honestly, I cannot say it has to be 1 year. It would make sense to limit it in 1 year. It wouldn't make sense to do it in 2 months either. So I think that's, I would say, yeah, they're not recommended, but 1 year would be feasible and doable.
Many thanks, Veronica.
I'm sorry for interrupting you, Daniel.
Please,
I think we are on the wrong slide, though.
No.
Room? Oh, no, it's fine.
It was in both.
All right, it was the same question in both.
Yeah.
Good to clarify.
Okay, many thanks. So the next question is, what is the founding rate for this call? Maybe I can take it directly, as it's a cooperation support action. It is 100%. So we go to the next one. Discrepancies between rural and urban innovation ecosystems may be due to the access to learning. Are there initiatives to focus on education and rural ecosystems? Veronica, do you take it?
This initiative is not focused on that. It's, but maybe Ekaterina, there are other initiatives within the European innovation ecosystem that might be more related. So Ekaterina, if you want to elaborate here.
Yes, thank you. I would step in because not particularly for this topic, but for education, academia, enterprise collaboration. Indeed, there is a specific reference for inclusion of the rural areas in the topics call. So please, it's more to second action. Yeah.
Many thanks. So founding rate, we have already addressed it. Is there any eligibility of including at least one certified program in the proposals? Veronica?
No, there is not eligibility to include one certified program. You have to take into account that there are other actors in the plugin chain, so you don't have to go directly to the program. Maybe they know several programs, so there is not a specific eligibility that the project has to include at least one certified program in the proposal. No.
Many thanks, Veronica. The next one is for you as well. Is there any expected output in terms of programs to be sent to be certified under plugin scheme?
No, there is no, we expect, so as I said, this is really a very incentivized instrument to incentivize the cooperation. We really think that the project selected will lead to a certified plugin maybe next year or maybe later. So there is also a lot of, in the mutual learning, sometimes you find that there is much cooperation needed. So there is no one strategic target that we say you have to get there. It's desirable, but it's not a requirement.
Many thanks, Veronica. I think we're staying with you. How does topic 2 relate to smart specialization agencies? Or is it strategies linking S3S in different regions with shared priorities?
Maybe Ekaterina is more willing to take this one. Absolutely, I can take it. There is no direct relevance. The topic is focused on the national regional programs, innovation programs. They could have sectorial orientation, or they may not have sectorial orientation. So there's like really depends. So if there is sectorial orientation, they might be linked to S3 specialization in the concrete regions. If not, there is no link.
Of course, it might be music to the ears of the evaluators to connect this with the smart specialization strategies. But as you said, Ekaterina, it's not a requirement.
Absolutely no requirement, no.
Many thanks. Next question is, what are the status of UK partners? The same like for Horizon Europe calls. Thanks. I think it's very easy to answer. Yes.
Yeah, I think that this one and the next one are very easy. It's standard rules. So the rules apply, member states, associated countries.
Okay, so it means you have already answered the next question. Are any other third countries that are participating? So that's okay. The link to the new European Innovation Agenda has been provided, I think, but what is important for you to know is that you will get the slides. They will be uploaded on ACEMEA's website, and the slides are containing the links to all the documentation. Next question for you, Veronica, is the list of already certified schemes available?
Yes, it's in the EIC website. We can send you the link.
Excellent. And what does similar organization mean in terms of target applicants, Veronica?
I mean, you have to understand, I mean, there are some countries where they have regional innovation agencies or national innovation agencies. In some countries, they would not be called innovation, they would be called development. So it's like we have named some of the target applicants, but that does not exclude that if you are, if you have the same objective, but you are called something different, you cannot participate. So it's a way of enlarging the target applicants, but keeping the target. So similar organizations that are doing the same are public and are doing the same as the ones that we have mentioned.
And maybe if I may compliment Veronica, is indeed we know that in some cases that even private entities are in charge of managing, I mean, they're authorized to manage these national and regional innovation programs. So obviously there also could be a part of this call. So that's why, I mean, we just made this phrase very broad, but again, the main thing is to look at the eligibility criteria that are in the table supporting the call. I think this is the main reference if you're asking or if you're questioning yourself on the eligibility conditions.
Many thanks, Ekaterina. I mean, basically, you see here that the spirit of the EIE work program is really inclusive. Again, we've listed several times already the name of Credible Helix, meaning that here we have quite an open approach. Dear participants, do you have any other questions? Please go ahead in Slido. We're a little bit ahead of time, so I can still wait for 1 minute for getting new questions. It doesn't seem to be the case. So in this case, I'm closing now this here a new one. What is the status of the partners from Switzerland? The same as UK. This one I can take directly. So no, it's not the same than UK because Switzerland is not an associate member of Horizon. Nevertheless, I know from the Swiss friends that they have specific schemes in Switzerland enabling the coverage of the participation of Swiss beneficiaries. And this, by the way, is really interesting also for the European partners because basically it's not part of the budget. The Swiss participation is not part of the EU budget, which enables you to reach out to a higher amount in terms of projects. Next question, what priorities do you want us to focus on? Is aerospace and defense a focus? Also, we can have a legal entity incorporated in Ukraine. I think I will pass the floor to Veronika for this one. But as Ekaterina has specified, there is no sectoral priority in this very case.
Indeed, I mean, there is no sector priority. When it comes to the plugin doesn't distinguish sectors. So it's a selection of deep tech innovative companies that they go directly into the evaluation of the accelerator. So there is not this sectorial. And I don't understand, can also we have a legal entity incorporated in Ukraine? I don't understand the question in that sense. I mean, the eligibility is the eligibility as it says. As long as you comply with the eligibility conditions that are in the call text, the rest, it has to make sense, what I said. I mean, this is not I add one because I want to enlarge the consortium. I mean, it's like, if it makes sense within the idea that you have, why not? But you have to, the eligibility is linked to that has been published.
It's maybe for complementing, Ukraine is an associated partner for Horizon, so Ukrainian entities are eligible. And the next one is for you as well, Veronika. Can certified programs participate in the call? Is it beneficial for the proposal?
It depends. I mean, if you cannot force a program to you can focus on a program, you can see a program, you can yes, I mean, but it doesn't have to be the program per se. What I mean is that maybe one of the members of the consortium, it's the plugin contact point that is not a program per se, but knows the programs. So it can also help in the process. So it doesn't have to be. If they are there, it could be good. If they are not there, it could be good also. So that's the yeah.
Thank you, Veronika. I mean, if I may complement, what is really important also is the transferability of the approach which is designed by the partners. So maybe this is an additional information which could be useful. For the next question, should beneficiaries be necessarily already certified entities under the plugin scheme? I think it has already been answered. The answer is not necessarily. Veronika, do you want to complement?
No. So yes. So it not necessarily. If they are there, it could be good, but it's not necessarily. It's not sine qua non.
Thank you, Veronika. Considering the very low budget, 100K, are you looking for particularly lean proposals? How the proposals are going to be assessed? I mean, basically, it's of course a lower budget than what we're used to in EIE in particular. Nevertheless, it is we're expecting a good value for money in this very case, because basically what will be coming out from this 100K will be the design option paper and hopefully very good initiatives for progressing, for instance, on the plugin scheme. And as to the assessment of the proposals, we have a classical approach of Horizon, where we are delegating the evaluation of the proposals to external experts. And so there is no specificity here in terms of process for the evaluations. Next question, any experience with innovation leader regions and their motivation to actively participate in this kind of projects? Sometimes it is complicated to involve them, says this question. Veronica?
Okay, yes, maybe they are, and that's the reason why we say that we really want to incentivize. So, and here we have 414 participants, and I'm aware that some of the participants here, they are very well, they have a lot of knowledge about the plugin, so they could, I make a call here also for them to play their part in the whole ecosystem and try to be open to this kind of mutual learning exercise, because as I said at the beginning, we want mutually learning. So it's not only one way, it's not only they are going to learn from those that do well, but they will also learn from those that maybe they have more struggles to set up a program. So yes, that's the yeah. I think we will make the call in any case also to those that are performing better to be open to this kind of exercise.
Many thanks, Veronica. It's in fact very important that we have this connection. This is really the essence of the EIE work program. So the next question I think has already been addressed, but maybe Veronica, I will pass it back to you again for being sure. Should beneficiaries necessarily be managing regional and national funding schemes?
Not managing, but linked to it. I mean, that they know the regional and the national funding schemes, yes. I mean, it can be the contact point, and that not necessarily manages, but knows well the management. Yeah.
Thank you, Veronica. And I think I will take this one as the last one, as we are now back to schedule. The innovative programs could come from EIT minus HEI completed projects. So I don't know exactly this website. Veronica, I don't know if you have a clue.
I don't know. I'm looking at it.
Yes, I mean, I think I know the program. I mean, it's Higher Education Institution EIT program. But again, the answer here, it's again, I mean, unless eligibility criteria are observed, there is no restrictions to participate in the call.
Okay, many thanks, Ekaterina. Dear participants, I think we can close now the first topic. Many thanks to our speakers for this topic. And we are now turning to the next one. If you can please display the screen again. And we are maybe just before to step to the next one again, it's very important to have this. You have seen that there's a big emphasis on the EIC plugin part for the mutual learning scheme, but definitely it's very valuable for us as well, because this is also a way for structuring the European innovation ecosystems in its whole, starting by this common scheme. So now we're turning to the next topic, which is named Expanding Academia Enterprise Collaborations. And so here we are back to talents, talking about talents. Back to you, Ekaterina.
Yes, thank you very much, Daniel. I'm here replacing my colleague who will be policy officer for this topic, Natasha Kurutsky. She is in my unit. Unfortunately, she was not able to be here today. But basically, I will be giving you very brief presentation of why do we need this action, and then what is the rationale for this action, and then I will pass floor to Katalin, who will go through with you on the details requirements for the proposal. And of course, I will be here with you as well, together with Katalin, to reply to your questions. So what do we want to achieve with this Expanding Academia Enterprise regionalized collaborations, as I mentioned before, very much linked to the new European innovation agenda. There are a lot of actions that are supporting, that are aimed to support talent, and this is only one of them. But why is it needed and what we want to achieve? First of all, bridge the gap. Hence, we have the criteria, eligibility criteria, that we want to bring less developed, I would say, moderate emerging innovative regions. I'm using European Innovation Scoreboard definitions, as you are well aware of, with strong and innovation leader innovative regions. Again, for the better circulation of the knowledge, of the talents and the skills. Next slide, please. Second reason, we want to promote talent circulation, but not the brain drain. Here, just to illustrate my point a little bit, you have a map with a ratio between inflow and outflow of researchers during a certain period by country. Probably it's quite small letters, but you will see that there are quite some countries, some European countries show a ratio below 0, below 1. And basically, what does it mean? It means that the more researchers left the country during the period than entered the country. Living where? Living not necessarily to other European countries. It also may mean they are living abroad for looking for the better conditions for the research, for the to continue research, to continue innovation. Next slide, please. What is the objective? Another objective is stimulate research community. I would say here probably research in innovative community. You do appreciate well that it's difficult to measure and label the researchers when they're actually are working in the research institutes and educational facilities. But here, to illustrate my point, we have a table, the graph with the actually difference between the researchers per million inhabitants, and again illustrated that besides the fact that we believe that we are actually quite rich on the researchers per in Europe, we are not actually leading the number of researchers per million inhabitants, and of course it also has an impact on the research and innovation climate in Europe. Next slide, please. Boost knowledge intensive economy. Again, why? Because we think that R&D personnel and researchers in the labor force, it's actually exactly would be beneficial, particularly for stimulating deep tech research and innovation. We know also the PhDs and doctoral students, these are the, let's say, the newest form of resource in a world driven by knowledge-based economies. Here, just to illustrate my point, another graph showing the differences between our European countries and also between, and also luckily a good progression of share of R&D personnel and researchers in the labor force in Europe. Next slide, please. Women. I have mentioned already before during presentation of the new European Innovation Agenda, we do want also to combat inequalities and also promote more inclusiveness, particularly when we are talking about the presence of women in deep tech fields. And here, of course, we can start looking on already in the tertiary graduate by field of study in gender. And here you would observe between the female and males, there is certain mismatch because there are more there are some, let's say, particular lines of education that are more attractive, or they sort of are more, let's say, usual for women to apply for, but not to other fields. And what is very important, particularly in the STEM, in the STEAM, in the deep tech fields, we want to promote women participation. Next slide, please. Again, women participation in the deep tech research and education also has a direct correlation with the number of women entrepreneurs, women founders, women innovators, and also women in venture capital fields. So therefore, venture capital firms. So therefore, of course, again, a small graph to stimulate, to illustrate my point that much more have to be done to have a parity between male and women also on the level of entrepreneurship. Next slide, please. So to sum up my point and illustrate a little bit what we want to reach with this topic, the list here on the slide is not full. You need to look into conditions of the work program to look on the outcomes, what we want to achieve. But again, some of the objectives of this call, enterprise industry collaboration, is to improve integration, establish better links between research and higher education institutions and startups and scale-up networks, a bit typo here, and other relevant communities, and better connection, and also to stimulate testing, validation, upscaling of innovation. Basically, as I mentioned before in NIA, everything that stimulates laboratory results finding their way to the market, stimulate flows of knowledge, skills, and talent circulation between the education institution and the startups and scale-ups, and also across the borders, improve skills and competences of all involved ecosystem actors, particularly what relates to the entrepreneurship and innovative skills, promote intersectoral mobility, also cross-border mobility, and with the objective to stimulate market uptake of new technologies. And again, with all that, also to help young people and increase the potential for employability, and also to improve the gender balance in collaborations. Next slide, please. And here I give the floor to Katalin, who will continue presenting you specific details of the topic.
Thank you very much, Ekaterina. So as the previous topic, the one on expanding academia enterprise collaborations has been open for submissions as of 6th of June, and it will stay open for applications until 19th of September 2024 until 17 hours. So please also at the same time don't wait until the last moment to submit your proposal to us. In total, we have an indicative budget of 2.5 million euro for all the projects which will be funded under this action, under this topic. So this leaves us to having around 0.5 million euros in terms of expected EU contribution per project. So this means that we are expecting to sign around 5 grants under this topic. And when it comes to the estimated project duration, as it's also mentioned in the call text, this action looks for projects that so this topic looks for actions that support co-designed programs of activities that should last at least 2 years. And when we consider the part about the target group of potential applicants, we are looking after projects submitted by research and innovation related actors that are like vocational schools, higher education institutions or colleges, public authorities in the field of education and employment, innovation agencies as well, and different private sector representatives like SMEs, startups, and the industry. But we will go much more in detail at a later stage during my presentation. Concerning the additional eligibility criteria, we also have for this topic something very specific. This means that all the projects shall be submitted by at least 3 independent legal entities each, which are established in 3 different member states or associated countries to Horizon Europe. And here, of course, we have some extra points of attention to you. Out of these 3, minimum 3 independent legal entities, we would require that at least 1 is established in a moderate or emerging innovator region, and at least 1 will is establishing a stronger innovation innovator region. And for this, we have already shared with you some details from the Regional Innovation Scoreboard and the European Innovation Scoreboard as well. The consortium must also include at least one educational institution or research organization and at least one representative of the private sector. So this means for profit entity. Of course, we can go much more in detail afterwards. The project's results should contribute to at least 4 or more of the expected outcomes, which are listed in the topic text. Ekaterina already mentioned some, like the improved integration of research institutions or higher education institutions into the Europe's innovation ecosystems by establishing better links with startups and startup networks, scale-up networks, for instance, or accelerators or incubators. As well as, for instance, improve competence of students, graduates to launch, to run new companies that can be successful and scale up and grow further in Europe. These are very few examples. I think you have over 7, if I'm not mistaken, expected outcomes. At least 4 have to be covered by the action that you would submit to us. Next slide, please. And in addition, the proposal should also foster the creation of innovation ecosystems with the educational and research institutions and to strengthen their existing links. At the same time, you should outline activities for supporting the educational and research institutions to take a greater entrepreneurial role. We would like to see projects that ensure that the educational institutions' assets and vision are articulated clearly in line with the respective regional specializations. So maybe this is linked to the question before that we had about the smart specialization. So please keep this in mind. The proposal should also leverage best practices of the private and public sector in the EU's well-performing innovation hubs and enhance collaborations between businesses with research and innovation actors in educational and research institutions. We can explain a little bit more what we mean by innovation hubs at a later stage. You should also build on the educational and research institutions' focus areas, and this is something still related to the smart specialization. So basically, build on the existing and match the regional and business interests that you have if you are an educational and research institution. Outline activities that will foster connectedness of the innovation ecosystems while preventing brain drain. You've noticed that the slides that Ekaterina just showed. Basically, this is in the sense of the entire European Innovation Ecosystems work program. We are always looking at connectedness. We try to make the most of various and different cross-border collaborations among various innovation ecosystem stakeholders. So we expect that these projects would also support the connectedness of the better connection of the various innovation ecosystem stakeholders. These proposals should also ensure gender balanced participation opportunities, as well as to highlight that how basically the project could survive further without any EU contribution. So we would like to see how the action could go beyond this at least 2 years being basically set up without the funding that we offer. And we also encourage that the consortia to work closely with innovation agencies from the respective regions and territories, and to seek relevant synergies with other relevant EU initiatives that work with university business cooperation type of activities and projects and so on. So next slide, please. I think we are moving towards the to a few questions that we have already received before the info session. One was related to what we consider under the private sector from innovation hubs. This was a part of the from the call text, and the person who has submitted it was interested to know what type of profiles should the company have. So basically, we talk about the private sector in general. That covers, of course, research and development companies, as well as startups and scale-ups with very potential for growth, as well as early stage startups. So from this point of view, when it comes to the size of the company, we don't have anything mentioned in the work program, so it covers them all, from small to medium to big companies. When you talk about innovation hubs, we talk about the big range of stakeholders that include the private and public sectors, also the incubators and accelerators. And this is something important to know when it comes to the inclusion of any hubs or also the incubators or accelerators. This is not mandatory for forming a consortium, but they are eligible, of course, and they are encouraged to apply if their involvement is relevant and beneficial for this type of action. And we have a second part of the already received questions. If you can go on to the next slide, please. There were 3 more other questions. One related to the IT offices, whether they can apply to be part of the project consortium. Yes, they can apply. They are eligible. They are also mentioned in the target group. Now, if they are to be the coordinator, I don't think we cover this here, but we don't have a requirement in this regard, so they can be either participant or coordinator. It's up to you as a consortium what type of role you decide to have and to offer. Question number 3 was, is there any requirement concerning if the project leader should come from one of the emerging and the moderate innovation ecosystems? There is no specific mention in the work program. So, and the same for it goes for the 4th question: is there any specific requirement concerning budget distribution among the consortium? No, we don't have any specific requirement in this regard. Maybe you would also find interesting. I think it will be much more relevant the presentation that will come after us about the lump sums and the budget table. Good, I see Daniel, and I think I need to stop here. Thank you very much for your attention.
Many thanks, Katalin. And I think we couldn't find anyone better like you for talking about the hubs, because you're also taking care of the Startup Europe initiative. So dear participants, you've understood that one of the objectives is to make this map that Ekaterina has shown before from red to green. We see that there's quite a number of territories to be covered in this. So now let's turn to the questions received in Slido, and please go ahead for posting them over there. So we have a classical question, which is about the duration of the proposal. Ekaterina?
Yes, I can take it. Also, Katalin, we ask for co-design program of activities of at least 2 years.
Very clear, thank you. Can non-profit business organizations like clusters be considered as representative of the private sector? Ekaterina?
I'm looking under control of Katalin, but I think eligibility criteria that we have on the table clearly specify that it should be for profit.
Katalin?
Yes, we have this mention about that they have to be for profit. So this is something quite clear in my view. nevertheless, I think we can also cover this at a later stage, Katerina, if you wish.
I do think we need to think about it because it's a legal question of eligibility. Because here, I mean, our eligibility criteria says about independent legal entity as a first criteria. So it should be seen if it is independent legal entity. I mean, I think it's a little bit more difficult to answer it like this.
I think it's better to
Let's come back to
cover
that
it
in the
afterwards,
FAQ. Yes.
And please, the colleague who has submitted, we call everybody, all the attendees colleagues, but the person who has submitted it, please wait for our answer through the function, through the FAQ category of the which can be found under the topic page under the Funding and Tenders portal. And of course, you can still contact us through the Research and Inquiry Service. You will see the link through the slides, which we will share with all of you.
I'm sorry to coming back on that. Again, we'll reply directly in FAQ, but again, we have a minimum eligibility criteria for the consortium that I want to underline. So in the minimum eligibility criteria, where we demand it has to be one private company coming from for-profit sector, for example.
Yes.
We have a criteria that should be at least 3 independent legal entities established in the 3 different member states. This is a minimum criteria. What comes to the top on that, it's, I mean, in my opinion, it's open unless you how to say, you are corresponding to this minimum eligibility criteria. So please read it carefully, but for me, this would be the answer today. But we can put FAQ on that, Catalina proposes.
Yes, we will do it, but you are totally right, Katerina. This is the minimum part, so everything which comes on top of it, I think, should be fine. But let's clarify it afterwards, in written.
Many thanks, Catalina and Ekaterina. Definitely, it was a very relevant question, but I think we have now the answer, but still take care about having a look at the FAQs. I think the next question is for you, Catalin. The online manual states Part B needs to be prepared using the template downloaded from the system. Do not use the standard template from the topic page. Is that correct?
This is correct. It may happen that, so for the time, as you may have seen, these topics were already published since many months already. And the moment when they were published, maybe the Part B and the various documents were, let's say, not revised as they are at the moment. So that's why the most relevant document is the one that you'll find under through the submission portal. So once you click start a new application, you will get access to the documents available to each of the topics. So please use that one. It's always the best practice to do so, since they might change with different type of information and guidance from the central services.
Many thanks, Catalin. I think the next question is for you, Ekaterina. Should private sector consortia partners come from highly innovative regions and academic partners come from moderate, emerging innovation regions?
Yes, this is a question under scope, and we'll make also specific FAQ on that because it's a recurring question. But we would say at the moment that we encourage that that the private sector, at least one partner from the private sector comes from these highly innovative regions. We understand that we are talking about strong innovators and innovation leaders, and at least one higher education institution or research institution coming from moderate emerging innovation region.
Many thanks, Ekaterina. So the next question is about the call mentions that it is encouraged for the consortia to work closely with innovation agencies. Is a letter of support recommended? Yeah, Ekaterina.
We do encourage, we do not necessarily require the letter of support.
Very clear, thank you. Next question. I think, Catalin, you can open your camera. What is the maximum funding for each proposal?
We have an indicative funding of around 0.5 million euros. Of indicative budget is 500,000 euros. this means that we can receive proposals that request less or even more. That would be my answer. But of course, it will be up to the experts to decide whether a bigger budget deserves funding, given the fact that we always look at funding more projects to give access to funding to more players, not only to 3 instead of 5, for instance. So yeah, around 500,000 euros should be the contribution.
Katarina, I think the next one is for you. Basically, the question relates to the previous one. So the question is here: which system is the system?
So
Please.
Google or use other search engine and try to find the Funding and Tenders portal. On the Funding and Tenders portal, you will have to search for this ID of the call, connect 0201, for instance. This is the second part of the ID. Once you find the topic page, you will have a button called Start Submission. And if you click on that Start Submission, you'll get access to another page that has that features the documents and all the forms that you have to fill in. So,
many thanks. Here a question, I think, Ekaterina, I will pass it to you. Do SMEs proposing solutions for primary schools fit with the target?
A priori, I said yes, very much, but it depends on the eligibility criteria, of course, specified in the call.
Thank you. Next question. What does it mean for educational institution to take a greater entrepreneurial role?
Well, it basically means for educational institution that it's a little bit prone, how to explain it? For me, it's very clear. That's the difference. I mean, there are a number of courses and educations that are obviously designed to provide the knowledge for the students to to make their career. Here, if we are talking, for example, as a deep tech sector, but not necessarily, we do have a sort of a number of really deep tech specific research, knowledge intensive courses. What sometimes is lacking, and it is particularly visible still in some areas and some regions in Europe, there is not enough offer for also in terms of the courses, but also in terms of different facilities that would motivate students to actually, while choosing their career, consider this startup or innovation path. Normally, it's still not everywhere. World is changing, but in some institutions, in universities, there is like simply either you're going to be a researcher, continue your PhD studies and simple career track, or maybe you also go to the industry. There is much less. There is not actually a lot of options that would incentivize students to consider that it could be also another way, for example, a way to form a spin-off, form a startup, to pursue their innovation or their idea in different, less, let's say, traditional way. So that is basically the spirit of this phrase.
Many thanks, Ekaterina. Next question for the private sector. For the private sector, you put the emphasis on companies developing technology. Is there room for private entities that provide services to HEI and enterprises?
Higher education institutions.
Sorry.
Yes. Yeah. Well, again, it's. I probably should explain here because during the preparation, my couple of slides has gone amiss, my fault. But actually, I wanted to also to tell you for your inspiration that in 21-22 work program, we actually had, let's say, similar, call in that spirit on expanding entrepreneurial ecosystems. And there, what is interesting, if you would go to the European Innovation Ecosystem Data Hub, that probably someone could put a link in the chat, you can see the awarded topics under this call. And what you will see that the topics are very different. I think this is important, and this is why the call text is drafted so broadly. So for answering directly this question, it depends. It depends on your proposal. Unless you are fitting to the eligibility criteria, everything is possible. But if you look on the examples and the proposals that had been awarded for another call, that again is slightly different, but I mean, I think they could be really compared to the spirit. You could see that some of them have very specific, for example, sectorial or technological, focus. For example, synthetic biology. Some of them are much broader than that because they are focusing on, for example, creation on the educational offer for this specific entrepreneurial or so to say, this funding investor-oriented courses in their research institutions. Some of them are talking about organizing the hackathons and matchmaking activities. Some of them talking about this mobility between like researchers and between the startup sectors and the universities. So I mean, I just was saying, it's unless you're once you have an idea and once you are how to say, minimum eligibility criteria are reached, we cannot say for any specific company or specific thing, yes or no. It must make sense for the proposal that you are coming forward.
Many thanks, Ekaterina. I think the next one is for you as well. Target groups, what does it mean? EIC and EIT startups and industry. Does it mean that the startups and industries that have been founded by EIC or EIT?
Well, target groups is indicative description, so it's not at all binding. Just I want to explain that straight away. What do we mean here about EIC and IT, startups in industry? We think that, as we mentioned before, we think particularly with this topic, this links between EIC and EIT funded companies, and also the embeddedness and the innovation ecosystem could be promoted. So that's why we have a specific reference to that. What does it mean? They are part of the community, I would say. Funded, not funding, part of the EIC or EIT community. We know community is very large. I mean, but it's an indication.
Many thanks, Ekaterina. Next question. Do you foresee any FSTP in this call? So for the participants, just for letting you know that FSTP stands for Financial Support to Third Parties. Very pleased to see this acronym here in this question because it's a very useful mean. And we are very used to this in EIE, in fact, but I think the answer here is no, but I'm handing over to Katalin.
You're right, Daniel. The answer is no. The call does not provide any indication about financial support to third parties. Therefore, we won't use FSTP for these projects.
Thank you, Katalin. Next question, can you give some example of the type of activities to be done under this action? So basically, again, I think you should think about the objective, which is greening the map that Ekaterina has shown before. Ekaterina, do you want to answer about this?
I answered it a bit in the spirit of looking at also the previous call. I mean, and again, just to tell you that it's really very much depending on your consortia and and activities you want to interpret, unless it's correspond to the text. But again, it could be very sector specific, very vertical specific. It may also not be. I mean, it can be really. I mean, again, until you, how to say, reply to the minimal requirements of the call text, right? At least the 4 outcomes and so on and so forth. But it can be really very, very different. I think here quite broad. And again, if you look at the previous awarded projects, you would appreciate that they are all different. There's really no one recipe how they should look. And I think this is diversity is exactly what makes it very interesting actions and the projects.
Many thanks, Ekaterina. Indeed, it's very open. So basically, we have to keep in mind the rationale of the action and the objectives. And I'm taking now the question, which is on second rank, what kind of activities? So this has been covered, and what kind of costs will be eligible? This is very, I mean, there's no specific, no specifics on this very call. I don't know if Katalin, you want to comment about the eligible costs?
Yeah, well, it's the standard cost of a project. So personal costs, it can be also other direct costs and I don't know, subcontracting. But maybe we can cover this through the next presentation if it makes much more sense.
Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you, Katalin. I'm taking then now the next question. How do we categorize the capability established/developing of regional national innovation ecosystems that were not color-coded on the diagram of Europe? I mean, I don't know if it's referring to the map that Ekaterina has shown before, or is it something else? Yes, please take it.
But basically, in the eligibility condition of the call, it's also specify. I mean, because not all countries have this European Innovation Scoreboard and Regional Innovation Scoreboard, like marking. But there is a specific reference on how these countries will be treated on. So please look at the conditions. I'm not going to read it, but it's under eligibility conditions of the action.
Thank you, Ekaterina. Next question is, can a territorial administration participate in the consortium as partner or coordinator?
It's again the reply unless
yes, please, Ekaterina.
Once eligibility criteria are made, there is no if it's a legal entity, so on and so forth. You have to establish, I mean, what is territorial administration? I cannot answer you right away, the legal status and so on and so forth. But if it is, in line with eligibility condition, yes, of course. There is actually, we do not have any specific restrictions on who coordinator would be. So it's again up to consortium to decide.
Many thanks, Ekaterina. So I will speed up because we still have 2 minutes left for this Q&A session. Where was it possible to search for potential project partners? So we have already covered this in a certain way because on the portal, there's a link for this partner search facility. And again, I invite you also to have a look at the data hub of European innovation ecosystems, because you will find there very easily also the partners which are in current projects concerning entrepreneurial ecosystems. Next question, is it better to focus just on one area of deep tech, or is it advisable to combine two if they have a common purpose? Ekaterina?
But it's again, there is no one answer to that, because as I mentioned to you, we have seen awarded projects focusing on very specific type of specialization, like synthetic biology. And also we saw other projects that had been awarded, so they were successful, focusing on really on very broad collaboration without any sectorial references. So really depending on the nature of the proposal itself.
Thank you. I think basically this is also related to the question related to the TTOs. So the question is, can TTOs under university management be part of the consortium? Ekaterina, I think the same answer applies here. It's meaning it's quite open. It depends on the eligibility criteria. Connection issues, yes, the recording will be available later on the website of AISMEA. Are innovative programs and tools developed in the EIT HEI completed projects eligible for this topic? If so, should their involvement be especially justified by the partners in the proposal? Ekaterina, do you take this one?
But again, here I'm not sure what it means by the programs, right? Because here, when we are talking like an advice on the eligibility criteria, we're talking about the entities, not the programs. Of course, these partners of the consortium can come up with developing or continuation of development of certain innovative programs. Depends. So, I mean, a priori to be seen. Yeah.
Yes, to keep in mind the question of transferability, the question also of duplication. So this is an important element to take into account. If it's aiming at expanding things which are working at smaller scale, it can be an option. Next question is, can the coordinator be a higher education institution from a strong innovator country? Ekaterina, I think we've already answered this one.
Well, again, as we mentioned, there is a minimum eligibility criteria that must be observed. It doesn't preclude that there are more partners in the consortium, and there is no specific requirements on the coordinator, who should be a coordinator. So if everything is, I mean, eligibility criteria observed, so a priori, yes.
Thank you. I think this also answers the question which was below. Should the private sector partners come from innovation hubs? So this is the same answer. Next question, does a holding company of a university owned by a higher education institute qualify as an educational institution or private sector representative? Ekaterina or Katalin?
I cannot, can you give you answer like that right away? I'm not sure I understand the status of this holding company. I mean, I can only, I mean, we all know eligibility conditions by now, so I think that's important to verify.
Thank you. So indeed, keep in mind the eligibility criteria. The next question, should the private sector come from innovation hubs? So that's already answered. Could proposals focus on shared S3 topics between could proposals focus on shared S3 topics between different regions? I mean, again, here, I think we can say yes, because it's an open approach. Just keep in mind the objective of the action. As project users is expected to have the best practices share and design, is it needed to have an action fully implemented? Ekaterina?
Well, we do have a co-designed program of activities, but obviously we do not want that they remain only on paper. I mean, the action, how to say, envisage that these activities are also being implemented. Fully implemented, I cannot answer to you because, again, depends.
Many thanks. In fact, here the main issue is the impact. So this will be a very, as usual, it will be also scrutinized by our evaluators. What are the conditions and key factors to enter as natural person to be a partner in the project? Katalin?
Well, we are looking for legal entities to be funded through these projects. So basically, a legal entity means, and I will quote here from the general annexes of Horizon Europe, means that any natural or legal person created and recognized as such under national law, EU law or international law, which has a legal personality and which may act in its own name, exercise rights to be and be subject to obligations, or an entity without legal personality. So that's what we are looking for, legal entities.
Many thanks, Katalin. And I think we'll be stopping the session in a couple of minutes. So no extension of deadline possible. It's set in stone, so that's very easy to answer. Is it possible to make this call request between a French company and a Swiss academic laboratory? Thank you for response. I've already answered for the Swiss part before, but you have to look at the eligibility criteria. So if it's only between France and Switzerland, it's not sufficient. Can NGO, a network of SMEs and research, also apply for this project funding? I think we've already answered. It's rather open. Can ERICS be considered under private sector? And do you know, Katalin, what is ERICS?
Unfortunately, no. I'm really sorry
No,
for
I
this.
know
I'm
what
really
is
sorry for
ERICS.
it.
I know what is ERICS. It's European Research Infrastructure Consortium, I think, but I do not, unfortunately, know the legal status, so I hesitate to apply to that.
Thank you, Ekaterina. I mean, we have a couple of ERICs in our unit, but that's not the answer here. I think I've skimmed through everything. Shaba, if you can clean, or do we still have some new ones around? It doesn't look like. So in this case, I will close now this round for the topic 1. Many thanks to our speakers. And we are now reaching the very last session of this morning, which is about lump sum funding. And for this, I'm very pleased to welcome Isabella Prokopovic. Isabella, you have the floor, and I invite the participants to listen very carefully, because this is a very important information to you. And furthermore, it's an approach which is greatly facilitating the financial closing of the projects.
Thank you very much, Daniel, and thank you also very much for having me. My name is Isabella Prokopovic, and I work in the business process unit in DG for research innovation. And as the two topics that were presented today are lump sum funding topics, I will present a brief introduction into what it is, what it means to receive funding for lump sums, and also share with you more resources that can be helpful while we bring your proposal. So we'll first move to a little bit of background information why even lump sum funding was introduced. So first of all, it's the aim to reduce the financial rate. So there's a wide agreement that the financial error rate must be reduced in Horizon Europe, and lump sums are there really a key measure to achieve this. Second point is that with lump sums we see really a potential for simplification. And first of all, lump sums remove the obligation to report actual costs and resources. I will go a little bit more into detail later on, but this really helps, and we are really helping beneficiaries who have limited experience, who do not have the administrative resources to manage actual cost grants. There really lump sum funding can be very helpful. And what we saw with actual cost grants, so the grants that are based on reimbursement of real costs, it still remained complex and error-prone, and there was little scope for really to simplify them for the applicants, for the participants further. And last but not least, of course, is that with lump sums, we shift the focus of the applicants, of the participants, on the content. And this is actually the key. It's the research innovation funding program, and this should be in our focus. So with lump sums, we achieve this. And we move next to the kind of the basic principles to have kind of an overview what it means to have a lump sum funding grant. So first of all, just also to explain that the standard approach is followed as much as possible. So there is no change in the templates, in the evaluation criteria, the payment scheme, the technical reporting is also the same. So we also want to make sure that apart from the differences that of course there are, we really strive to have a approach as similar as possible. And you'll see in the slides, we have what we call a breakdown, a lump sum breakdown. In the bottom right corner, you see the lump sum, the final maximum grant amount. So this will be the lump sum. And this lump sum comes together with lump sum shares per work package and per beneficiary. So in the columns, you have the work packages, in the rows, the beneficiaries. And so we always have a lump sum share taking into account the work package and the beneficiary. Of course, this is also, as we want to simplify the funding, the financial reporting is very much simplified, also to a great extent automated. So that's important. And another point is that when it comes to the payment, so of course we have a payment scheme and then interim payments, and these interim payments are shared, paid upon completion of the work packages. So the work package, and I will go a little bit further into the presentation, really a key part of how you design your work plan and then of course your proposal. We'll move further to the of course, to the writing of the lump sum proposal. And just as I already mentioned, we follow as much as possible the standard approach. This means we have a standard, we use the standard Horizon Europe application form, but here to, as little note, is that we introduced also more information in the templates itself to explain to applicants how they should describe their work packages, how they should describe the tasks, what is really needed. So to really help applicants to provide the necessary information. As in other actual grants, proposals for actual grants, applicants present their objectives, methodology of their project, they address expected outcomes and impact. So this stays the same, and describe in detail the activities covered by each work package. So this is what I just mentioned, the that we provided even more guidance on this in the template itself. So this can be helpful for you. And so going a little bit a step further, so what would be then the difference when comparing to a actual grant is the detailed budget table with cost estimations. This is the detailed budget table. It's a separate document. It's an Excel table that you download from the online submission system. I saw the questions before. The system, it's exactly what it was already described, that it's in the same place. Apart from the application form, you can also download the Excel file that you that the applicant fill in, submitted as an annex to the Part B application form. On this note, the application form has also a lot of instructions itself. So it's once you open it, the first step is really the instruction step. So to really help you further with its completion. We move further to the next slide. And so we move to the how to really complete the detailed budget table. So the detailed budget table will contain the cost estimations for each cost category. Where there are questions on cost eligibility, this follows the standard rules also as in any actual cost grant. So there are no special rules for that. So the cost estimations will be defined per beneficiary or affiliated entity, if any, and per work package. Of course, these are cost estimations. They will not be they cannot simply be as exact as it would be in an actual cost grant, but really for to the best, they have to be approximation of your actual cost. So again, as I said, the same eligibility rules apply, must be in line with applicants' normal practices, must be reasonable and non-excessive. To this, I will come back as well, because this will be the this will be also taken into account during the evaluation of the proposal, and must be in line with and necessary for the proposed activities. So again, this is always to be reflected by the project. So what is in the proposal? What is declared there? With these cost estimations, this in the Excel file. So we're staying in the detailed budget table. A breakdown of the lump sum shares will be generated, and this will be done automatically. But this exactly what I showed before, just in the beginning of the presentation. So we have always a breakdown per work package and per participant. As I said, more instructions are included in the detailed budget table itself, in the Excel itself, how to fill it out. And I will also share in the end of the presentation a lot of our resources with more guidance, because we understand that that this is it has to be done properly, and to help applicants as much as possible, we prepared also some short videos how to do it. So this will follow in the end, and we can move forward to the next slide. And here we come to the work packages. So in that sense, it's a very important part of the proposal preparation, as the payment, how the interim payments will be then executed, will be are dependent on the completion of the work packages. So how work packages should be set up, as many as you need, but no more than what is manageable. So the work plan has to still make sense, has to correspond to the proposed tasks. And just for you maybe to have a better understanding, a single activity is not a work package. A single task will be also not a work package. We also give the examples that a progress percentage of the progress is also cannot be also defined as a work package. The same with the lapse of time. So it's also not generally not a work package. The questions also then arises for work packages that are usually very long. So we have the management, communication, dissemination, and exploitation. So what to do with this kind of tasks and activities. Here we have the possibility to split those work packages along the reporting periods. This means that, for example, if the consortium wants to make sure that, for example, ensure the needed cash flow, they can split the work package according along the reporting periods. And we move to the next slide, where we have one example how this was done. So it's a 4-year project with 3 reporting periods and the work package for management. And we see that this was simply split along the reporting periods. So after 18, then again after 18 months, and the last one was a year-long reporting period. And this allows for the consortium to receive the payments after, so they can define, or they can report that the work package was completed and a intermediate payment can be done. If this is the case, there's no need to repeat the description of the work package in the proposal form again. So this is the point below, so for your information. And we move then to the I believe the evaluation of the lump sum proposal exactly. So as I said, we follow the standard approach. This means also that the standard evaluation criteria will be applied by independent experts to evaluate the proposal. The cost estimation, so the cost estimations in the detailed budget table will be also assessed, and this is done under the implementation criterion. What experts will be looking at is, first of all, that the cost estimations are reasonable and non-excessive. So this is what I said before, that when preparing the detailed budget table, you have to take this also into account. And the second point is whether the proposed resources and the split of the lump sums allow completing the activities described in the proposal. So again, also for the applicant to bear in mind, if the experts find that some of the cost estimations are overestimated, they can give concrete recommendations on the budget, and this will be then reflected in the modified lump sum amount in the grant agreement. Should be the case that these cost estimations are really clearly underestimated or underestimated, this can also lead to a decreased score. But here is really to highlight that these are really clear cases of overestimation, underestimation. Whether it's in general, if these we rather have this case where we have some recommendations, but yeah, for you also to bear in mind. And then we will, because we will stay in the topic on the evaluation, but move to the evaluation of one particular point is the personal costs. And for this, we wanted to provide experts a tool to have a better orientation what kind of personal costs could be seen as what could be as not as excessive or not reasonable, and we created the Horizon dashboard for lump sum evaluations. So this is a dashboard that is has to be used by the experts, but is also available for applicants to look at and to compare their own personal costs to the dashboard. So how the dashboard works is that we have a combination of country and organization type, and we have a distribution of the personal cost displayed between the 20th and the 80th percentile. Also not here visible, but when you look at it online, you have also the median personal cost. Yes, and so the data for it comes from GrantScience from 2022, and the idea is really to allow experts who have to evaluate proposals from participants from various countries to have a better idea what kind of personal costs would be seen as non-reasonable or excessive. So you see here an example with research organizations in Romania and in Germany. See the same organization but different countries, and the differences are quite big. What the important information for applicants is that should it be the case that your personal costs would be above the 80th percentile, this does not mean that those costs will not be acceptable or are excessive per se. This only means that experts will look even more in detail, and that's why it will be good for you, and really we will ask you to justify your personal costs in a special tab in the Excel, in the detailed budget table Excel. We added a special tab, the any comments tab, where you can justify higher personal costs. This could be, for example, a situation where you need a lot of senior researchers, senior staff on your particular project. This, of course, leads to an average personal cost that will be higher, and this is exactly the kind of justification you can provide. So in the slides, you have the link that is to the dashboard. The dashboard is available in the Funding and Tenders portal, and really, hopefully, a very helpful tool for you to use. And I believe now I will have the last slide with all the resources for you to really make use out of them. There we have video tutorials, so short videos with key informations, a lot of guidance documents, of course also the reference documents such as the model grant agreement for lump sums, the decision authorizing the use of lump sums, and also some past or future events that my team is organizing. This all is combined is collected, so to say, on a dedicated lump sum page in the Funding and Tenders portal, also accessible here through the link. So at this point, I know we are running a little bit behind in time, but this would be the end of my lump sum presentation. But I would like to really take a very, very short opportunity to also mention one other simplification feature. I don't know if we could move to the next slide. It's the personal unit cost. It's really a new feature that we introduced just from the 1st of May. It's the Horizon Europe personal unit cost. where it's a option for reporting personal costs based on one daily rate for all staff of the given organization. So this is brand new, but we also really want to share this information with you. On the next slide, we'll have the also the links to more information about it, and we'll have also on the 19th of June a webinar explaining everything in more detail, and of course very happy if you would think about also joining there. So thank you very much, and I think I'm ending here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Isabella. So now we turn to the Q&A session. In the meanwhile, let me just emphasize the fact that this lump sum part, which is quite technical, will be certainly more useful for the academia enterprise collaboration because these are bigger values. Don't forget that in Horizon Europe, there's usually a rather big pre-financing. So for 100K, it shouldn't be too complicated. So here we go. Isabella, are you ready? I think it will be essentially for you. First question, how do I calculate the value in hours of a PM in my employees having different working hours per year?
Okay, how do I calculate the value in hours? I believe this. I mean, this is also a question on in general on how to calculate basically, yeah, the working hours. I believe there should be an average on it, and then. But this is also more of a general question. It's not in particular to the lump sums, but really to the general question. And I think it should be also covered in one of our guidances. So I would probably kind of convert or not convert, but lead to the question to check our guidance online.
Thank you, Isabella. Next question is about how much pre-financing will there be? I mean, usually it's between 70 and 80%. So that's why I'm saying it's splitting work packages into different pieces is more relevant for the enterprise academia collaboration. And about the additional pre-financing or interim payment, this depends on the duration of the project. Let's say that if it's for 12 months, for instance, there will be only the pre-financing and then the final payment, just as an example. Next question, what happens for the payment from EC in case the work program isn't completed? How many will it be an additional pre-financing? So I answered already this one. So here the question is more about what you already shared, Isabella. About what happens if the work program the work package hasn't been completed.
Exactly. So in case the work package is, and we have multiple reporting periods. So this is kind of the example that that I use is when the work package is not completed during the project. This can be the work package will be not paid. For these activities will be not paid, but the consortium has the possibility to complete it in a following reporting period. If the work package is not completed at the end of the project, there's the possibility for a partial completion. So the part of the activities is only completed, and then it's declared as partially complete. So yeah, I think this answers the question that at the end of the project, no, the budget doesn't have to be necessarily deducted in the whole. It can be also done partially, but again, also this has to be justified and also accepted by us, that what are the grounds why the work package was not completed in total. So this is to be kept in mind.
Thank you, Isabella. So basically, for summarizing, if the work package has been completed by 30%, we will be paying for 30%.
More, yeah.
How many reporting periods? So again, it depends on the duration of the project, and this is also related to the question below. Let's say that usually for projects which are not too long, there's the big pre-financing at the beginning, and then there is the final payment, and there is always a final payment, meaning that we're never paying 100% as a pre-financing. So this is the rule. So we can turn to the question, if the payment is executed after completion, then we need to set up multiple work packages for the same activities to receive grants for executed tasks, right? Isabella, I think we can say yes.
Yes, in that sense, exactly what I explained with the splitting of the work packages. So if there's a such work package as a management communication, it's been then split along the reporting periods, and you get paid after the reporting period.
Thank you, Isabella. Next one for you. For the lump sum in terms of ex post check in case of an audit, should we keep personal timesheet on the project or not?
No, the whole idea of the lump sum is that there's no financial reporting or audits after the project. There, of course, this is on ours, so there's no contractual obligation for you to keep this kind of documents. If there are any internal procedures or national law that you have to follow, then yes, but this doesn't come from us. With lump sums, from us, there's no financial audit or reporting.
Thank you, Isabella. I think we've already dealt with a part of it. So the question is, where can we find the access to the dashboard for the lump sum evaluations? And that's a very good question because it's a very valuable, it's a very good novelty, by the way, for helping the experts also for the evaluation. Isabella.
Of course, the link was in the slides, but we have the lump sum dedicated landing page in the Funding Attendance portal. So in the Funding Attendance portal, we go to Horizon Europe under EU programs, Horizon Europe, and on the right-hand side, you will have the lump sum page, lump sum funding page. So, and there you will find the dashboard. So this is a little bit the way to look for it.
Thank you, Isabella. I can now take the last question on the screen. What is the typical pre-financing in lump sum projects? I think this is not specific to lump sums anyway, but we have usually rather big pre-financings, as I said, between 70 and 80%. Isabella, you want to complement?
Not really. Maybe it's also the pre-financing can depend on the number of reporting periods. This also may be important to keep in mind, but other than this, I think, yeah, as you said.
Okay, now see the question on the bottom. Hi, dividing work packages as explained, should at least the description be referenced in the proposal?
Same description. If you can, of course, it wouldn't. I would say it doesn't hurt. Of course, that to also since yeah, you can include it. Yeah, this would be it doesn't have to be repeated, but such information is definitely helpful.
Thank you, Isabella. Then there's a question about the guidance document for the personal unit costs. When will it be available?
Yeah, we're really in the final kind of stages to have it published as soon as possible. But
thank you.
Yeah.
So Isabella, I think you have already answered that, but I see the question again about the financial reporting. That's the first one on the list.
Is there going to be 24 for lump sum? If so, what kind of? As I said, from our side, there's no financial reporting for lump sum projects. So what you always have to keep in mind that there's still the technical reporting. So any documents that will prove that the work that has been done, the completion of the project as foreseen. So this is separate. This is technical reporting from the financial reporting, none from our side. With this caveat that, of course, look at your internal procedures or national law, but not from our side.
Thank you, Isabella. I think you can also confirm on the last question, should we apply the same financial principle for lump sum projects as we do for budget-based projects?
I mean, in a sense, the financial principles, as in the reporting, no, this is not. But for example, when it comes to the eligibility of costs, this stays the same. So the same costs that would be eligible under an actual cost grant are eligible under a lump sum grant.
Thank you, Isabella. I'm also taking now the last on the list, which is the cost for the certificate on the financial statement eligible under lump sum scheme?
No, because this would be not eligible.
Thank you. I think we are through all the questions now. Any other questions?
I have them.
So I think, Isabella, if it's okay for you, I will now close this very technical topic. Many thanks for your very clear explanations. And again, I'm also grateful for your colleagues, because this lump sum scheme is definitely helping a lot, both our beneficiaries as well as ourselves. And don't forget that for the evaluation, indeed, that's a little difference with the normal grants, that the evaluators are having a look at the costs. And we're talking here about, Isabella mentioned, underestimated or overestimated. Be more careful about the overestimated, because you have the maximum grant amount in your proposal, and this cannot be increased. So be more careful about the overestimations than about the underestimations. Even if the experts recommend higher budgets, this will not necessarily be possible.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Isabella. So as to the conclusions, I just wanted to highlight here again that the main purpose of the EIE is to better connect what happens now in Europe. This is based on the way that we are structured, is that many regions are doing more or less the same things locally. And with EIE, we expect to have a higher impact with the same means. I think that's one of the key messages we can take. And before closing the whole session, if we can go to the next slide, please. If you have further questions, please reach out to the Research Inquiry Service. The link is within the slide that will be accessible later on. So you will get the answer here, and this is also feeding our FAQs. And if we're going to the next slide, we would highly appreciate your feedback about this morning sessions. You will receive very soon a link for providing this feedback to us. This is extremely valuable to us in order to improve, if necessary, the way that we are organizing these sessions. And I think before closing, I just wanted to thank very warmly all the participants, all of you. I wanted to thank also all the speakers this morning. Special thanks also within my team to Katalin and Xaba, who worked on the back office, and also many thanks to our colleagues in the communication unit, Laura and Maria, and also thanks to our service providers, Camille and Romain. So having said that, I wish you best of luck for your applications. We are looking forward to receive the solutions to the issues of not having sufficiently connected ecosystems within EU or within Horizon Europe countries. And we keep in touch, and I hope to see you very soon. And good luck again for your proposals. Many thanks for your participation.